They tell me I am the first person to take the vaccine, so woohoo!
It was a historic day here in North Texas, the first administration of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. Teresa Mata from Methodist Dallas received that shot, giving a bit of hope in this pandemic to some after seeing her and others receive the first vaccines here in North Texas and all around the country. Are you feeling any differently? I know that there's been a lot of people who've had concerns about taking the vaccine. You can vote in our poll this morning, WFAA.com/vote now, or you can go to the Vote Now tile in our app and let us know. So while Methodist was the first hospital in our area to receive shipments of the vaccine, more are expected to arrive today. Chris Sadeghi live this morning outside of Parkland Hospital, one of the facilities that's going to be getting that shipment.
Yes, Kara, when we saw that UPS truck driver pull up to Methodist yesterday in that video, he might as well have been wearing a Santa suit. That's how excited the hospital executives were to see him. Obviously, they've been waiting all year for this Christmas present. Now, today, other North Texas hospitals, including Parkland, get to experience that same joy. You mentioned Teresa Mata, the 51-year-old mother of four, the environmental services worker at Methodist Dallas, the very first person in North Texas to be vaccinated. But by the end of the week, the DFW Hospital Council expects around 50,000 frontline workers will join her. Parkland and UT-Southwestern expect their shipments of the vaccine today. So too does Texas Health Harris Methodist in Fort Worth. This little peek inside was shared by Methodist Dallas, showing how the vaccination process worked. The workers there registered for time slots. They are not vaccinating entire units at one time because of the usual side effects from the vaccine. Chad Bush is a CT technologist who got vaccinated. He said he was too busy taking a selfie to even feel the shot. Aside from a little soreness in his arm, he wasn't feeling bad when we spoke to him 8 hours later. He had feared getting COVID at work, bringing it back home and spreading it to his elderly mother. So this vaccine represented hope for him and other hospital workers.
We are beyond tired. We are beyond stressed out. And I mean, we are beyond burnt out. And so if taking this vaccine can help my fellow coworkers, I feel it's my duty, that it was my duty to do that.
And today at 12:30, Parkland is going to let the media be present when they give the vaccinations to their first few employees to show us how the process works. So we know how it's working at hospitals. How is it going to work at long-term care facilities? They're developing that plan right now. We'll have more on that coming up in 30 minutes. Kara.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So as Parkland and two other hospitals receive their doses today, more expected to arrive next week in the coming days. So the question for many people, like you heard Chris say, what is next? And we're going to take a look at that this morning. The people who got vaccinated today or yesterday will get their second dose about 3 weeks from now. Pfizer's vaccine is only approved for people who are 16 and up. Pregnant women and children are exempt, but by the middle of next month, studies will happen and they'll look into whether or not the vaccine is actually safe for them too. 50 million are expected to be vaccinated by the end of the month, but the question on a lot of people's minds is, when will I be able to get the vaccine? Now, for most of us, probably not until next spring. The government says the general population can likely begin getting the shots in March. So officials say they have purchased enough doses to vaccinate every American by the end of June, but that relies on other companies being as successful as Pfizer and getting FDA's approval. And as I've told you this week, Moderna is up next. So the FDA advisory panel hears their request for emergency use this Thursday. And as we wait for that to happen, healthcare officials across the country and here in North Texas are having some hope. At least they're trying to have some hope as they see more people get vaccinated in order to stop the spread of the virus. This morning, Errol Placencia joining us from her home. And she is talking about the plea to the public, because as we've seen even in our poll this morning, there's still about half of people out there who are a little concerned about getting the vaccine.
Yeah, and that's why these North Texas leaders, they tell us that the goal is to get these facts out early before the vaccine for the general public even arrives here in North Texas. And again, I'll start with the why again and reiterate. Health professionals are saying that we need to get out in front of these people ahead of time, and that's why they're working so hard on this to get those facts out. And so also some more numbers to show you. Take a look at this. This is an ABC News poll that came out yesterday, and it found that 15% of Americans would refuse to get the vaccine outright, despite it being 95% effective. Now, 40% would take it as soon as possible, and then 44% said that they would wait. So in an effort to better these numbers, that's why Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins told us last night that he and the county's Health and Human Services Department, they're already working on their own preparedness campaign. It will include town halls, advertising in communities more likely to get the virus, and then encouragement from trusted voices who live there. Now, Tarrant County leaders, they feel the exact same way. They told us their hope is to get the skeptics in communities and educate them before the vaccine arrives. Some doctors in Tarrant County told us if they aren't successful in doing this, then herd immunity is at risk. And a little bit of context here, to achieve herd immunity, Dr. Anthony Fauci has said that about 70% of the population or more needs to be vaccinated. So compare that 70% to the 40% in the ABC News poll who said they would get the shots right away.
Not just waltzing in with the vaccines the first day. You're not going to have success.
We want to make sure that the facts get out there. Vaccine is safe, it's very effective.
And Jenkins told us that he would get the vaccine without hesitation. And again, one more reminder, we are not expecting these vaccines to be available to the general public until spring and maybe even late spring. Mark?
A lot of folks counting down the days. Thank you, Ariel. 6:08 on this Tuesday morning. Time now for your morning rush. And it is a tragic story to share today as we are waiting to find out who was killed in a bad crash in Milford, that's south of Dallas. At least one person died when a church van collided with a semi-truck. This happened last night on I-35. Some other folks involved in that collision were taken to the hospital. We do not yet know how badly they were hurt. President-elect Joe Biden addressed the nation last night after the Electoral College sealed his victory. They cast 306 votes, well more than the 270 he needed. Biden said the integrity of our elections remains intact. Now it is time to turn the page, to unite, to heal. The search for Dallas's next police chief gets down to business today. The 7 finalists will begin 3 days of interviews by several community panels. Tomorrow there will be a Q&A with the public. The Dallas city manager could name the new chief as soon as next week. And Dickies Arena in Fort Worth is looking for some part-time workers. Boy, that's great news for a lot of folks because we're talking about everything from parking and security to food services. They're hosting a job fair today from 2 until 6. If you want more information, you can go to eventbrite.com to find more. And that is your morning rush. As we now turn to the rest of our show, coming up later on this morning, we're talking about healthcare workers being first on the list. Now residents and staff of long-term care facilities anxiously await their chance to get the new COVID vaccination.